My guest today is a singer, songwriter, and musician. She was featured in Guitar Girl magazine and London-based Sept. I'm excited to welcome Joie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. That starts really quick, so sorry if it's surprising at all, but thanks for coming up. Appreciate it. We've been talking for a while and been listening to your music, and I try to get like a musician from Seattle on at least every couple like months, and it's been, I think the last one we had was Deja Richardson, who I don't know if you know her, but she's super fucking good. And so we're going to have you play some music today, and I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Where are you like, or what's your backstory with music? I don't think we talked about that at all beforehand, but like, where'd you grow up and like, how old were you when you started?
Yeah, well, singing honestly has been something that's just been instilled in me like my whole life. I like came out the womb singing, but I pursued music professionally when I was 14, and moving from Atlanta, Georgia to Florida and finding music at that time was definitely weird because I was so young, but just it came so naturally to me. So during that time, I was really surrounded by a lot of male-dominated music groups, and someone reached out to me and offered me studio time, and that's like literally how it happened. And I just like fell in love with the business side of it too, and performing and becoming an artist.
How did that happen when you were 14? Like that seems so insane. Like what, give me more detail to that.
So what I used to do, because I was a super shy kid, super dorky, just like very insecure, I would post videos of me singing on Instagram, not even showing my face, just me singing. And, you know, this guy reached out to me, and he was a producer and, you know, had connections to, you know, studio engineers. And he was like, yo, you sound really good. Like, you should come to the studio.
That seems a little sketchy.
It is
though.
sketchy, but I brought my mom. So
Okay.
she was like, yo, this is not okay. This is not normal for a 14-year-old to do. So she's like, I'll go with you and we'll see how it is.
And this was in Atlanta?
This was actually in Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was born in Decatur, Georgia, and I moved to Florida when I was pretty young. So I kind of grew up there throughout middle school, and then moved to Georgia again when I was in 9th grade. So a lot of my music journey started in Florida, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have to say, if you guys are watching us on YouTube, hit that like, share, subscribe button and the notifications bell so you don't miss our content. And you have a YouTube channel too, right?
Yeah, I do. It's Joie's World.
Okay. Check that out, please. Sorry to, it's just within the first 5 minutes. If we don't say that, so many people. And if you're one of these people that are 5 minutes in and you're like going to stop watching, this is going to be a good episode. Don't be that person. It hurts us. But anyway, so it's just weird that how did you get to Seattle? It's such a stark difference from what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's completely opposite. I live with my family, so within making that decision, like to move to Seattle, we all came together and we were like, forget Georgia.
Collectively, just this is the weirdest.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah. And
when was that?
This was 3 years ago.
Okay.
So right before COVID, and man, it was a weird experience. I mean, I was with my family. Like I have 3 brothers.
Okay.
So doing that whole thing with also 6 cats with us, it was pretty intense, but it was definitely something I needed to like kickstart my career, kickstart this like independent journey that I'm on, because Seattle was really like the hub, I guess, to me for opportunity. And like everyone in my family was like, yeah, we have to go because there's nothing here.
Why is Seattle, like for music or for work or what?
For work, for music, for networking. Honestly, just compared to like the South, there's just so many ways to expand, so many ways to get an idea out and like actually do it. And I feel like in Atlanta, everyone is kind of chasing the same thing. Which is really, it's money, of course, but it's very selfish in that way. As I guess the difference is here, we are really embraced in community. It's not all about money. Mm-hmm. And even when we don't have opportunities to really make money, we still shine. And I noticed that.
What is the music scene like out here for you?
Oof. To me, it's inclusive. It's free. It's, man, it's definitely open to all. And it's a space where you can learn so much from people that are like dedicated to teaching and being artists. Like that's their life, that's their world. And to have that passion like surrounding you is really it's something else because it makes you want to do more. Like I'm constantly pushed to the next level because there's so many people around me doing something like ultra creative that I've never heard of. And I'm like, wow, I gotta get on that level. Like
That's dope.
yeah.
I haven't tapped into the music scene much, but like you played Crocodile somewhat recently, right?
Yeah, I opened for Charlotte Day Wilson in March.
Nice.
And that was a crazy opportunity that came to me just from doing So Far shows. Like, I don't know if you've heard of So Far Seattle or So Far Sounds, but they put together intimate concerts in like random locations throughout the city. And through that, I was able to make some really great connections with other artists. Like Jamar Smiley is the one that kind of pushed me into that door. I actually did a show with him, and that brought me to Abbey Arts. I don't know if you know where that is in Fremont. And from there, I was able to get that opportunity at the Crocodile. So everything is really just like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like constantly engaging with the artist you're performing with.
So it's funny because like a lot of those venues do comedy too. So I played Hereafter like a month ago now. There was a Sunday night show called Don't Tell, or no, not Don't Tell, Good Comedy. It's two of my friends, Bo Johnson and Chris Mejia, run it. Like check it out if you're watching. But I haven't like gotten to see any local music. Like, what do you guys have an open mic circuit, or is it? How do you work on your stuff prior to being on stage?
Yeah, so there's honestly a lot of open mics going down. Like Mojam Mondays is one of them. There's one at Tractor Tavern, I'm pretty sure. There's one in Everett at the Lucky Dime. Like, honestly, it's through social media. It's through, like, navigating the venues.
Where's the Lucky Dime?
Lucky Dime is in Everett.
Okay. Have you been there?
I have not been there yet,
Okay.
but they have a lot of open mics going on. Black Lab Gallery, which is in Everett.
Yeah, that's right by the room I run in Tony V's.
Oh, yeah.
I always hear music play. I'm like, God, what's going on?
They're jamming. Yeah, there's so many. And honestly, Instagram is the way to find them. Like when I got here, I immediately like searched up hashtags like Seattle music scene, Seattle artists. And that's how I found so many people to connect with and like really learn how to be in this community.
So when you're doing open mic, are you like writing new stuff, or like what are you using that for? Is it like performance aspects? Is it, I'm just trying to wrap my head compared to like comedy. Cause I'm a lot of times I'm like testing stuff, like trying to see this new thing I've written, how it works. What's the response? Like how does that work for you with music?
Yeah, I think it's definitely similar because for me, it's like wanting to learn how to engage with the audience. Like how are they going to react to it? So definitely testing a lot of things out, like having fun with it because it's an open mic. So I really just use that for new material like you do. But also because I'm an artist who was shy growing up, I'm constantly learning how to engage with my audience and be a good performer. So like every open mic is really a chance to do that and be more confident in my sound.
How have you grown with that?
Oh my God. I used to choke on stage, like straight
Really?
up, just like not sing the next verse, just like forget every lyric that's in the song. But to me, it honestly became something bigger because I realized what music became for me and how powerful it was. And I have this message I want to share. So I can't be shy. I can't be quiet about it. I have to be confident and just break through that fear, or else no one's going to hear my message. It's just going to be something that lives within me. So I had to like think of it from a bigger picture and say, wow, these people, they need to hear this. So
they can't hear it unless I communicate it with confidence. And there's so many parallels with comedy. I'm actually having the same thing where I'm like, I feel like I actually have things I want to say and articulate, and I have figured out how to do it in a comedic way. but I've always been like a insecure performer, and I'm breaking through that a little bit because you can understand, but you still gotta like do it. I mean, how many shows a week are you doing? Like, what's normal for like for a local level?
Yeah, for me at least, it's one show a week, just
Okay.
because I have a part-time gig.
Mhm.
But really, for me, ideally, I would see myself doing 2 shows a week.
Mhm.
But I know a lot of artists that are really like pushing themselves and doing 3 to 4 shows. So
Yeah, that
yeah.
hustle culture is. Have you been in New York or like any bigger market yet?
No, I haven't.
You
People
should.
have literally been telling me like you need to go to New York.
Yeah.
That's the next step.
Is is it like New York, and is Chicago a big music scene too, or is it? What are like the biggest ones?
Chicago, definitely Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that New York is definitely one of them. And Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which back
I
to the
tried
beginning.
that.
Yeah. So back to like when you were younger though, you said you started singing. Did you have formal training?
Yeah, so from like being a little kid, I really just, it just came naturally to me. And then in high school, I actually joined my school choir. It was an all women's choir. And that was super structured, super, critical, and definitely a different side of music because you have to know, I guess, the theory side of it. And
So lame
it
too.
is kind of lame, but oh my God, it pushed me to the next level. It teaches you how to be a performer, how to have structure, and really how to perform with other people. So for me, that like, I guess enabled me to like learn in my own way because even though I really am not left brain, I'm really right brain.
Yeah.
But I use that to really support my own musicianship. Like singing was natural to me, but like being in a choir like pushed me to the next level. Like it was rigorous for sure.
Like I was listening to an interview with Tom Morello, the like guitarist for Rage Against the Machine, and he was talking about like he used to spend 8 hours a day like practicing guitar, and he got like all the like chops of it, and like he can play guitar extremely well, but there's that like craftsman type mentality with music, and then like the voice mentality of like expressing yourself. Like how do you balance the two for you? Are you practicing like musicianship stuff a lot, or like studying it, or like are you just trying to express yourself?
Well, for me, I sing like all day, every day. Like whenever I can practice, I practice. Like since I was little, I just sing. But for me, guitar is something I recently got into, and I had to teach myself. And although I've had some teachers along the way, I really have been just kind of navigating it in my own way, like watching videos and really just getting into like the muscle memory part of it. So I don't read books or anything,
Yeah.
but I'm getting into that. Like I have to know the theory to really expand. Like it's useful. You have to know it.
It's just so like it's exactly what you're saying, left brain. I grew up as a drummer, and I got into playing guitar and bass, and like with every instrument I got to, I just was like I can't do like I know what I want to do. I just can't physically get myself to do it.
Yeah,
And like
the intention's there.
the intention is definitely there. Just I would be like 3 hours in my basement practicing like different percussion things, and I just you either have it or you don't in some way. It's
Yeah.
like you can work on scales all day and like do all this shit, but if there's nothing behind it, it's just mechanical, you know?
Very true.
Yeah. It's God, I hate that about music. Like because I still see myself as a musician. Like
It's in you. It
Yeah.
is. You can do it.
but I just can't get like I can do what I do on stage with comedy. It was the first thing like I didn't suck at. And I feel like I see musicians I'm like they don't suck at like this. They have natural
because
ability.
we had all that time to suck at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like artists, like I'm pretty sure 90% of our career we were like not that great.
Yeah.
And then we finally peak, like, and people notice us. Because for me, I started so young, like I had time to be bad, and no one noticed.
That was like, was that hard for you being that young and going through like just adolescence and shit, and then like being exposed in that way? Like,
Yes, definitely, especially when it's a male-dominated industry, and being in, I guess, the city I lived in when I started, I didn't have a lot of opportunity. I didn't have a lot of resources. There weren't a lot of mentors or people to learn from. And I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I pretty much winged it.
That
Like,
seems dangerous too. Like,
yes.
did you, I mean, without getting into too much detail, like, did you find yourself in some shitty situations or?
Yeah, I did. And, being young, you definitely get taken advantage of because you're naive and you just have a dream. And I I realized that a lot earlier than I expected myself to, because a lot of young artists, they just get caught in that. But I was able to kind of detach myself for a second and say, well, I have a purpose. Like, how are these people around me helping me reach it? And how are they taking away from this goal?
Mm-hmm.
So being so young and like caught in that, I think it made me grow up a lot faster.
That's a lot to like. I mean, what you were
Yeah.
15 or something? I mean,
Yeah, it's 14. Yeah, 15. So
do you
weird.
have any advice to somebody that's in that situation now? Like, just sort of things that you would do differently or wish you had known?
Yes, trust your intuition. Be mindful of your time and your money. And really be mindful of who you surround yourself with and what their missions are. Because if you surround yourself with people that are, trying to do something negative, you're probably going to be doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that, like, immediately I was exposed to things that I shouldn't have been exposed to at such a young age. So for me, it's really like understanding like where your passion comes from and keeping that in mind, like no matter what.
You, how old can I ask how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 21. I'll be 22 in October.
You are very mature for your, like, it shows that you've spent a lot of time like growing early, and it just, that's a lot of heavy stuff to go through young.
Yeah, and geez, I think the hardest part about it was I really I did connect with some people during that, and I lost them, unfortunately. And that loss is something that like enabled me to kind of have not a selfish mindset, but definitely keep myself in in front of everything instead of thinking of like myself last.
Yeah,
Like
purposeful.
yeah. I had a friend, Justin, who I connected with when I was 14, and we both started this music career at the same time. And him being a rapper from the Bronx, and me like this young girl with like a bunch of soul. Like, it was definitely odd for us to connect, but at that time, I didn't really have a lot of friends. I was super shy. I was going to open mics and not doing that great. Like, I didn't have a lot to show for myself. But he definitely saw a lot in me as far as my passion and how much I just like embraced music. And I don't really tell a lot of people this, but when I first started music, I wanted to be a rapper.
Really?
I wanted to be a rapper. Like, that's my heart and soul, is like old school hip hop. And that's, what I was raised on. So when I met Justin, this dude from the Bronx who is just a cold ass rapper, that was something I just like immediately fell into. And unfortunately, like, he was murdered like 2 years into our friendship. And after that, I just like my whole entire outlook on music changed.
Yeah, I'm sorry that.
Yeah. Yeah, rest in peace to him. But he definitely helped me in a way like no one else could. Even if they gave me the studio time, it was really the emotional aspect of my music.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you about is I mean, you do predominantly soul style.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Predominantly soul, but I'm pretty diverse. Like, I'm in the folk area, getting in the rock area, but
Yeah.
everything really inspires me. Like, since I was young, I've always listened to all types of music.
When you're writing music, though, like, what are you trying to generate? Like a feeling, an emotion? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you just like trying to figure it out as you go, or like what's that process like from like beginning to end?
Yeah, so it's definitely For me, the creative process really starts with a feeling, and it's definitely like transmitting that feeling through my music. So whatever I do, I have this goal to generate this feeling. So I go out and have that intention. And I think a lot of times music just does it on its own, whether it's a minor or major chord. You have that ability because music is just, it's so beautiful. But really, when I write, I I think a lot deeper on situations that are seen as like average, like me going to the grocery store and passing someone by. It's just like that's a story. That's something I can write about. Or me being a young kid and like witnessing things around me, I would take that in and absorb that and like put that in my music, and not even realize it most of the time.
Yeah, I mean the stuff with your friend too, like those are heavy. I don't know. I had a friend that killed himself, and like it it happened. I don't know. I was like 23 at the time, and I was still like, I mean, he fucking hung himself, and it was just so. I spent the whole summer with him that summer, and then that happened, and it just like it changed my life, like how I looked at the world and like how I process stuff. I think, and like I think I lean into more like dark comedy as a result of that, just like finding the humor in dark moments. A lot of people don't like that very much, but like you have those big events when you're like growing and developing. Like that's it definitely influences who you are as an artist, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's wild. I just I'm always curious about like the building aspect of a song. Like do you start with the idea and then like what are you how do you work it out?
Yeah, that can go so many ways, honestly. For me, it starts with, I guess, just like an idea and a story because, you know, when I was younger, I was a writer, apart from being a musician, like I just would write stories. So I have this ability, I guess, to kind of vividly tell a story and pairing it with music and like adding a beat to it. Like it just comes pretty naturally.
But that didn't originally come natural, right?
No, it didn't.
How did you get better at that? Just banging your head against the wall in the basement.
That's what it was. Honestly, I would vibe out to old school instrumentals. Like I remember putting on a Mos Def instrumental and just rapping to it.
Mhm.
Or, well, back in the day, I guess I didn't really have a phone when I was that age. And my dad was a DJ at the time. So he gave me this laptop full of mixes. And I'd go through all these mixes with just old school instrumentals. I mean, Mos Def, Common, just
It hurts so
really
much that that's
amazing
considered
artists.
old school now.
Yeah,
It's
it
like
is. But definitely just listening to the artists that inspire me and using that as like using that inspiration just to make my own sound, because a lot of it was just me taking in all of this great music and like trying to absorb it but make it my own. So when I have an idea, sometimes, you know, it's based off of one of my favorite artists.
yeah.
But I try to like, you know, add my twang to it or whatever. But
It's tricky though cuz all their shit's like the finished product.
yeah.
So you don't get to see like the development of it, like you kind of have to reverse engineer it,
Very true.
and that process on its own is its own discovery. Like
Yeah, and it's dope as fuck when you like have the spark and you're like, oh my god, everything goes together this way. But like sometimes it starts out with lyrics, or sometimes it just starts out with the music aspect, or just like having the beat in my head. Like really, most of it is just like having this idea in my head and like trying to get it out the best way possible. That's why I honestly wanted to learn how to play guitar, because I'm like, I can't find instrumentals online that sound exactly
what you
how my idea sounds. So it was like I have to have more control over that. So I was like, I'll play guitar.
it's so frustrating though, right? Like
Yeah.
and are you still like what percentage? I've heard like great artists can hit like 30% of the idea they're trying to like of what's in their head. Like with guitar, where are you at in terms of like
Dude, 30%. Because honestly, like I'm not the best guitarist. Like I just play what sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like we were saying, like the music theory part, that's a whole nother side. But right now I'm just like in the, okay, this kind of sounds close enough. So let's just vibe with it.
It's like being a fucking baker or something, and like the building that you have, the oven doesn't really work that well, but you have to put out product, and you're like, I'm just doing what I got. I mean, what is success for you? Like, what are you like? What's the ultimate goal for you? Because I feel like every artist is different with that.
Yeah. For me, my goal is making people feel what I was feeling in that moment. And like, that's when I know I'm like, I'm doing something right. Like recently I wrote a song for my friend Gary for his birthday, and me channeling like all of this intense emotion of like this love and like this endearment towards him. He like immediately felt it. Like just in his response, I was like, wow, like I can do this with like a few lyrics. And it's like, I don't know. It's so much more than that, I guess. It's really just like that intense emotion that like sticks with you. And to know that someone can like come up to me and be like, wow, you really did that. Like I love those moments when people can really connect with like every word.
That it's funny. I've had a lot of people come on and their first response is like, I want to get paid. I like I want a record label and stuff. And like, is that stuff an afterthought to you, or like where are you at with the commercial side of music?
Well, being an adult, it's like, yeah, I do need the money. I do need security.
Yeah.
But honestly, like my inner child is like so much in my music, and my inner child is like always screaming like, yo, this is fun, just like have fun with it. Like I want to connect with people through my music, and like mentorship is something that's super important to me. And like having young artists come to me and say, yo, how do you do this? That is my goal. And like, even though money is amazing, it's great, but if I don't have this passion within me, like it's not going to be good music.
Yeah. It's so weird. I heard somebody once say like the art is the reward, like that's the frisbee or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get to go and chase it and bring it back, and like if you get anything on top of that, that's wonderful. But like if you don't see the process, like the creative process and what the result, and like getting to see people appreciate it, if that's not enough for you, then like what are you even doing it for?
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. I also know like a lot of people that have industry success that like they don't seem that happy either, or they stop producing like quality art. So like that's another piece of it. Is like,
sucks.
do you think you would like be able to make good music if life was super comfortable?
Man, yes. I mean, like you're comfortable. Like you could do whatever you want. You're free. Like if I had security, I feel like that would push me to like put more into my music and like,
Really?
Yeah. And like fund me wanting to be a mentor in some way.
I just wonder if like you need the discomfort in order to have the inspiration. Like all those things, like if you're not going to the grocery store anymore and like you just like you can do whatever the hell you want all the time. Like I think it's not great for like the fat cat artist, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the struggle is inspiring. I mean, that's literally how I've written my best music, is like my worst moments. But it's like, okay, how many downs do am I gonna have until I'm up?
Yeah.
So
where are you at now then? Like we're back from the pandemic, people are performing, you're in a new city. Like how do you feel compared to where you were a couple of years ago?
I feel really good. Like I have this capability now to be paid for performing. Like, you know, when I was 14, like I never imagined that for myself. Like I've never seen that. Like I was paying to go to an open mic and sign up and like have to wait, but no, people are waiting for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just a different experience
we are very spoiled in this city.
Yeah, we are. We're pretty spoiled.
It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, I think anybody that's like born and raised here, they go somewhere else and they're like shocked. I mean,
yeah. I mean, even the social climate is like drastically different. Like I honestly love it here. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I like it a lot here, but I there are aspects of it that sort of drive me nuts too. Like,
Oh yeah.
I just, I don't know. I do think there's, having lived in the South myself and like the Midwest, and this is a really cool place to be, but it just seems like a lot of people are really miserable and like bitchy and like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
A little privileged, but
Yeah. Especially like, I don't know. I went to Minnesota and did some stand up there in the wintertime, and like people are going to mics when it's 5 degrees outside, and you're like, this is hell. Like, I don't want, yeah. And you're paying like to park and like all this shit. Like, we're in a good city for artists. I do think at some point you got to go somewhere else. Like, and I don't know. New York was really cool in the sense of how much you can do, but yeah, I don't know. Seattle's an interesting place to like develop. I think it's a good place for that.
Because I mean, honestly, like I see a lot of artists, comedians, like actors going from Seattle to New York. So like, what's like the big difference? Not to like be the question.
Staged, like the amount. I mean, people in New York, it doesn't make sense to me. Like with taking subways and stuff, like people get up like 9 to 10 times a night. Like they're doing 9 to 10 shows. That's like 70 shows a week or whatever. And I understand that that's like important for you to get like a lot of repetitions, but like, I don't know how healthy that is I mean, can you imagine just like being on stage that much? It would be fun, right? But at some point you're like, I need to be back in the creation place to like, but also then you just start writing on stage and you'd be like really present. And so there's like pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The city's just really gross though. It's like trash. Everything smells like
seems
pee.
Congested.
There's too many people, and like, but it also like here we all go to our little bubbles. So it's like you don't get that privilege. Like you are next to the guy on the train, whether you want to be or not. Like
you're in the same bubble.
Yeah. And there is like kind of a dehumanization of that, and then a human, like you have to respect the people that you're around, but a lot of times they don't respect you. So it's just like very strange. But I did have a couple other questions for you.
Let's get into it.
Oh yeah. We had some listener questions. Brother Pedro, I don't know if you know him. Yeah, he wanted to know, he's got a couple of them for you. First is, what's your biggest motivation?
My biggest motivation is my mentorship and teaching, the next generation. Honestly, that's it. Is like having this knowledge. It just makes me want to give it and like help people like honestly know how to navigate it, because I was so lost when I was 14. And for me, when I see someone in that position, I just like, I want to help them. I want to help guide them.
What's the program that you're doing? Like, can you give them a shout out at all, or like any of the newer artists that you're working with? Like,
yeah, well, I'm not working with any right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a goal. That's the thing. And like I said,
it's don't. It's a motivation.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know everything as an artist. Like that's straight up. I have so much to learn, but I know that once I get to that point, like I'll be able to be that person for somebody else.
Hell yeah. Next question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Which is like that gross corporate commercial question. But
good one, though. Made me think a little bit. Festivals, like touring. I'm in Europe. Like I'm in more magazines. I have a program where I'm, helping young artists get resources and actually being able to teach them. Like that's a big part of my life.
This podcast episode went viral. It's everybody knows both of us.
What's in the future? Yeah, we're popping.
Yeah.
I see it.
Perfect. And then last question from him is, what are you listening to now?
I'm listening to Thames on repeat, and a lot of, oh my God, so much James Brown. That is my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I wake up, James Brown.
Interesting. I've been listening to him too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to an interview with Pharrell that he did with Rick Rubin. There's like this weird series of I really like a lot of the music Rick Rubin produced, but I don't know how I feel about him as a person. Like I keep getting all this conflicting information of like I don't think he's actually a good, like at one point he was a good dude. I don't know if he is anymore, but Pharrell just like dropped a bunch of different music that he listened to for inspiration. He's always somebody that like, I don't know why I like him so much.
He's dope.
He like
yeah, he's
his
so
brain,
diverse too.
yeah, just the way he thinks is different. And he was talking about like pairing different types of voices to certain like types of music and how it just, I don't know. When people start getting like nerding out about creative process, I'm like, fuck, that's so, I love seeing how people look at like an issue or a problem that I've looked at before and look at it completely different. That's fucking cool to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how that even came up, but check that interview out. I'll send it to you, or I'll put it in the show notes. So you released some new music. You're going to play some stuff for us today, but like, is there new music you can plug and promote just for anybody watching or listening to check out?
Yeah. So I just dropped my project Daddy Issues on the 22nd.
Where's the name come from?
I think it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Definitely, growing pains. But the entire project, it's really about toxic masculinity and, being surrounded by a male dominated, environment. Like it definitely has shaped me like as a woman and as an artist.
Mm-hmm. And like, are you releasing them like as singles, or because they've kind of been coming out weekly, or?
Yeah, so they came out weekly, every week leading up to the 22nd of last month.
Okay.
So I finally released the last single, which is titled Daddy Issues, and that's like the saddest one. So you have to listen to it and cry about it. But honestly, the whole process was like definitely not how I intended it to be, but how it was supposed to go.
Okay.
Like the universe had different plans for my project.
Explain it a little bit for me.
Yeah. So like the beginning of this year, I was injured and I, was on bed rest for like a month or two and wasn't really able to like do what I wanted to do with it. Like I wanted to tour like during the summer. That didn't get to happen. But pushing the project was like super important to me because I created it with my best friend Benji Taralva, and he is just, super amazing at like pushing me out my comfort zone and like collaborating is just like so free with him. Like we flow so easily, and he was like, yo, you need to put this out. Like I know you're going through some shit, but this project is really good. So we finally released it, and people ate it up, and it wasn't because it was perfect. It was because it wasn't, and that's crazy.
Interesting. So did you do it in a studio, or like what was the recording process?
Yeah, so I actually flew out to Fresno, California, and recorded the project with Benji Taralva, who's my producer and co-writer, and he has a studio set up in his home, and we just went ham. Like we were writing every day. Even when we were, driving to shows, we were thinking about the next song.
God damn.
And like, we busted that project out, like writing wise and building structure, like within a week or less.
That's wild. How important is it to have that like good relationship with your producer?
It's so good. I mean, like me and him are homies. Like he will keep it real with me. Like that's what's important, is someone who will be straight up with you, but also genuine. And like, he's definitely a mentor to me and inspires me to be a better mentor. But
it's like the best thing to come out of Fresno, California.
Yeah, literally, like wow. I mean, he was living in Seattle at the time when I moved here, and he was a guitar teacher at Guitar Center. So we connected, and like he meets this super shy, like awkward girl coming from the South, and was like, "Yo, you have a sound, and we gonna make it like come to life."
That's
like
fucking
basically.
dope.
Yeah, and we became best friends. Like he's like my brother, honestly.
That's awesome. Are any of those songs ones that you want to play today, or
No, I'm
not today?
gonna leave that to the people to go look up and
For sure.
listen to on their own. I'm actually gonna sing a song I dedicated to my friend Gary,
Okay.
and kind of put you in your feelings a little bit.
Hell
That's
yeah.
fine.
Where can people get all your new music though?
Yeah, so it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Tidal, pretty much anywhere you want to listen to it.
And is it God damn it.
He does this every time.
Yeah.
So. It's Joie.
Yeah, Joie World though, or what's it listed under on Spotify?
Yeah, so Spotify is just Joie. It's
Okay.
Jua with an accent on top, and it's pretty easy to find anywhere you want to look for it. But my Instagram is Joie's World if you want to go through that.
Yeah. I have this thing where like once I've memorized a word one way, I can't fucking break
keep saying it wrong.
Oh my god. It's the worst.
That's all right.
But I do it with like normal words too, like just like dictionary, not just names. Like it's terrible. But all right, let's set up these mics.
Your heart, yeah, is golden, and the scars that you got tell me you're chosen, not broken, and you're never afraid. Oh, it's just the way that you're made. Oh, just let it go. I'll make a space for you. I'll make a home. And oh, just let it out. You can lay your things right here, all your fears and your doubts. When did they make us think that we can fall apart? Trying to find the missing pieces, searching through the dark. But I'm broke, ain't got no money. But at least my friends, they think I'm funny. And oh, we know we are. Oh, we know we are. And oh, we know we are. We might not look like it, but I know that we're stars. Oh, we might not look like it, but I know that we're stars.
That was ridiculous. I was like, I've listened to your stuff a lot, like running up to this, even though for some reason I can't fucking say your name right, but like, that is unreal. Your voice is incredible.
Thank you.
Like, I hope this recording captured how good that, like, I think through the headphones it did, but holy shit. I need to come see you live
Hell yeah, you
at
do.
some point.
I'm performing soon.
Where are you going to be?
So the 13th, I have a So Far show, and that's
Okay.
secret, so I can't tell you. But I'll have the tickets on my Instagram.
Okay.
And then the 18th, I'm performing at the Olympic Hotel.
Okay.
I'll be performing from 7 to 9. So yeah.
All right. We're recording ahead of time, so I may be coming to that show. I don't know, but give me, like, any time you got upcoming stuff, make sure and give it to me and I can plug it on my side, because I'm sure there are people listening that, like, would definitely be interested in seeing you live.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Is where what's just all your social, just so people can find you?
Yeah, my Instagram is Joas World. That's JUAS World. That's pretty much it for everything. If you want to find me on TikTok or, any Twitter, I guess. But Instagram is really where I share everything.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That was awesome.
Thanks. Thank you.
If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit that like, share, subscribe. Make sure to check out her channel. All of the info will be in the show notes for social media stuff. And if you just listen to us on wherever you listen to audio podcasts, like, share, subscribe, review us. Doing all that helps us. Thank you for listening, and appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'll be back.
Appreciate it.
I just make the waves, I don't write them. I can hear the lyrics in my spirit as I write them. Why you wanna walk and talk just like them? I can't get caught up in all the hype and the excitement. I just make the waves, I don't write them. I can hear the lyrics in my spirit as I write them. Why you wanna walk and talk just like them? I can't get caught up in all the hype and the excitement. Welcome to my wave pool, my wave pool. 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 Welcome to my wave pool.